Hi guys, it's Terry from the PGSC here, and I thought I'd go over my Phantom Knight deck that I played in the LCS8 that happened this weekend. Overall, my performance was okay. I went X3. I was X2 on day one, and then unfortunately punted one of the games. But it is what it is. I thought it'd just be interesting again to go through the list because it's changed from the deck profile like that I gave, I think, a couple weeks ago. So we'll just dive right into the list, probably talk through any changes I might make, any cards I thought were good, and probably like a brief description of the matchups. But you should be expecting some replay videos showing the matches coming up on the channel very soon. So just to get into it, we played for our Phantom Knights, the triple Torn Scales, triple Silent Boots, double Gloves, double Cloak, and one Stained Greaves. Then we played the triple Tour Guide, one Graph, one Seer, one Edge of Sabers, one Sandgin, one Defrag Dragon, one Santa Claus. We played two Kagamucha Knight, a Rocket Tracer, and a Rocket Recharger. Dragon Buster Destruction Sword, 2 copies of Ghost Spell, and 2 copies of Ghost Nugget to round up our monsters. For spells, we played triple Quick Launch, 1 Boot Sector Launch, double triple Tactics Talent, 1 Foolish, 1 Rank Up Magic Force, 1 Reinforcement of the Army, triple Fog Blade, 1 Sword, 1 Wing, and 1 Shade Brigandine. For the side, we played triple Nibiru, double Radiant, the multi-dimensional Kaiju, and 1 additional copy of Santa Claus. We played triple Book of Moon, 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, 2 Twin Twisters, and triple Evenly. And for our extra deck, we played 1 Warlord Savage Dragon, 1 Chaos Ruler, 1 Arc Rebellion, 1 Dark Rebellion, 1 Dark Requiem, 1 Evil Sword Nightmare, 1 Raider's Knight, double Break Sword, 1 Barricade Borg, 1 Cherubini, 1 Striker Dragon, 1 Rusty Bardish, 1 Levier the Sea Dragon, and 1 Union Carrier. So just to go over things realistically, because if you've seen the profile before, which we'll probably link somewhere here, you know that probably what most things do, but overall I was happy with the ratios of Phantom Knights that I played. Once again, Torn Scales is great, Silent Boots is great. All of these seemingly, I didn't really feel there was any situation where I was missing a card, really, or missing that additional Phantom Knight being in deck or whatever. The tour guides were good. It's just another starter. Graph and Seer, again, they're kind of bricky in a sense if you open them, but they're part of just making the combos that you do is so much more streamlined. So I think the more interesting things to talk about are say the Sandgin. So you played Sandgin as an additional tour guide target, and I thought it'd be very useful for this tournament just because it can get me to certain decent cards that I might require. Mainly it was to do either the Defrag Dragon, get a Defrag Dragon, which effect is just I can special summon it by sending another card from your hand to the graveyard. Sorry, another monster, which can come in useful if you need to get say one of your PKs that you can't get out of your hand. So I've typically used it, I think, once to discard either the Ancient Cloak or the Ragged Gloves or even the Stained Greaves, so I can then special summon one of my Phantom Knights, which came up. It was okay, but probably for another list I'd probably cut it. Then there was the Santa Claus. Santa Claus, you could search off the Sandgin for the memes of just being like a kaiju monster you can drop on your opponent, and realistically, I mean, it did come up in a couple games, and I really enjoyed having it for this tournament specifically. But again, it'd probably be something that I might consider maybe just relegating to the side or in other builds, just because there are some moments, because as you can see the deck is 45 cards, and possibly for the event I probably should have slimmed that down a little bit, but it was still fun to try. Anything else? And Edge and Sabers again is just something that's in here as another tour guide target, but it's good to possibly put back certain cards, and just it itself can be a way to get into your Rusty just by putting back a card to the top of the deck by going the Cherubini route. So that was pretty cool. Anything else? Kagamucha Knight just as an extender. Something that really performed well for me, I think, over the course of the tournament was the triple quick launches and the rocket package that we play, because it's just so many times where your opponent would have the Nibiru or a specific hand trap, and just by using the quick launch package to get to the Warlord Savage Dragon, even on your 5th summon, it forces them to use that Nibiru now, which typically means that your follow-up being your tour guide or your Torn Scales, which would go in uninterrupted. It's definitely the package really did well for me this tournament, and I don't think I'd remove it, at least for now. so I would recommend trying it out if you haven't already. Any of the additional cards that were pretty useful were like the Ghost Bells actually came up a lot for me, just because I feel Ghost Bells is something that I will keep in my main deck, just because it came up in so many random instances where opponent tried to DD Crow me, which was random, which helped stop carry on a play or let a play go through that I needed. It was useful to stop things from Zodiac from getting back using the Chaka 9, or it stops them using the combo or the Pot of Avarice to get the resources back, which in a grindy game could really matter. So I really enjoyed the Ghost Spell. I think it even protects me from things like the Ice Dragon's Prison, which can be really detrimental to some of your plays, so Ghost Spell was a welcome addition to the deck. I think I'll continue playing it. Ghost Ogre was hit and miss, really. It was useful to get rid of the Zeus when they've activated the effect, and that was pretty nice, but maybe I feel I probably should have played maybe either Ash Blossom for more generic coverage, or maybe move the Nibiru's to the main for certain matchups. But overall, I mean, it is what it is. Another card that performed well was the Triple Tactics Talents, just because it's really great, especially in tandem with like Quick Launch, because you can use the Quick Launch, go for the Savage. If they Nibiru you, that's pretty good, because then they've used that monster effect. You can then use Tactics, look at their hand to ensure they have no other hand traps, and then you can drop like your Tour Guide or your Torn Scales, knowing well that you can continue on with your plays. So I definitely enjoyed having these in the main. I don't think I'll take them out, at least currently, while we're in more of a heavy hand trap format. The Buster Lock came up because it's the Buster Lock. It just helps steal games. If your opponent gets them from the extra deck, what can they really do? So those are pretty good. In terms of the extra deck things that came up, particularly, as I said, was Savage for protection. Chaos Ruler even came up in a couple games too, just because sometimes you'll open like a pretty suboptimal hand, and the only thing is you have the Quick Launch, so you can possibly go into Chaos Rule to hopefully dig for your starters, or at least in this case maybe a Ghost Ogre, or just to try to find something. So it came up in a game or two, so I'd still currently enjoy having that in the main deck. Sorry, in the extra. Arc Rebellion has come up so many times for me in this match. In the games, it's just easy to drop like it after going into from your break to your Raiders Night into Arc Rebellion to just steal games is pretty nice. And what I also found out when I didn't really read it is that the attack gain of this card is a permanent. Yeah, it just stays like that for the rest of the turn. So like it came up in one of my games against Prank Kids, against like a friend from locals, Callum Cook, where he just remained to be a very large body. I think he was over like 10,000 attack, and he just stayed there, which can be probably problematic for your opponent, especially after you're hopefully dealing a lot of damage to them. I don't think I would drop the Arc Rebellion. It's just a nice OTK. We have the Dark Rebellion and, well, Requiem just as our sort of one of our monster negations that we can do on our first turn board. I actually didn't find myself making this as often as I thought I would. I don't think I would cut it, but it's just that I've sort of favored going into the Evil Swarm Nightmare, just because I thought against playing things like Zoo or even Dragonlink, just by booking certain cards, it can end the turn, especially against Zoo. If you book their first special summon, unless they have the Barrage or maybe another extender, but they can't really do much. So I think Nightmare performed pretty well, so I keep that in the extra deck. Raiders Night is just again fine. Double Break Sword, fine. The Barricade Borg actually was kind of useful, just because you can have it's just generic, which is very nice when you maybe steal something with Tactics, so you can use it like the Dragoon and then turn it into something else so they don't get it back. It's also really cool because its discard effect just helps you get stuff out of, well, discard for cost gets you stuff out of the hand, but it also lets you get back the boot sector if you have to destroy it with the Tracer, or just like your opponent got rid of it, just giving you possible follow-up for next turn. I really enjoy the Barricade Borg. Cherry Standard, Striking Dragon is part of the combo, Rusty is Rusty. That's for these two. So Union Carrier, well, came in handy again for the Buster Lock, but it's also just doing like cute little things. Like if I needed a Phantom Knight in my grave for next turn, I could attach a Phantom Knight to Breaksword, use Breaksword to pop it, just getting it into grave. Which was really cool, and you can technically even still use the card, so if you can banish it to get like a Fog Blade, or like a boost to get a Fog Blade or something, so that was pretty nice. It was even moments where I've attached the Sangin, popped the Sangin, and used it to search either one of my little hand traps here or the Santa Claus, just being ready for next turn, which is pretty cool. Levier was kind of the card that I went into least. I think I went into it once, and I think I did it just to try to get resources, but what I found that it didn't really do that much for me. I kind of wish it was another card, like preferably another link, just so I can go into it, and I think I will definitely change this card to be, get it up now, I think I'll change the Levier to be Pentastag, because, well, Pentastag is first a Dark Link 2 that just requires 2 effects monsters, so it's fairly generic. So you can use this just as a stepping stone to get into your Rusty if needed. But also what I found with the Arc Rebellion was that my opponents would often have monsters in defense position, and Arc Rebellion unfortunately doesn't do piercing on its own. There were just so many matches where if I could just do some piercing damage, I would have won, especially in like that Barricades game, which you'll see later on the channel. So I think Pentastag will solve that issue for me. So I'm gonna try that out in like further testing. But hopefully it should work as well as I think it will. And then for the extra Nibiru, I sided in, but I don't really remember Nibiruing many people. Radiant, again, I sided in, I think I did it once. Santa Claus, it came up a little bit. Book of Moon, I think, was a really good card, just because, again, it's good for Zoo, it's good for certain like things like, even against dinos in some situations, you can book, like, I think, I'm not sure if it came with a matchup you'll see in the replays, but just being able to book something is really good. Like, against dinos in battle phase, you can book the conductor, since, like, hopefully the misc effect will have, like, stopped applying. So that's been pretty useful, stopping Zoo cards. And even if like someone targets one of your cards, you can use book to sort of protect that, which has been useful. Feather Duster was pretty good. Twins was good back row removal. Evenly was a weird one for me this tournament, because I don't think I sided in that often, and even the games that I did, like I tried siding against Zoo once when that's committed, or just other things, it just didn't feel that useful to me. Like, I think this was probably a poor choice. I probably should have cut this to be something like either like Lancia or Droll, something that would have been that would have actually shut my opponent off for a turn, because I think I was trying to go like I can let them build a board, break it, and then use Evenly to like clear it out and break it, but that didn't really come out for me, especially against like things like I tried it with Infernoble, but they'll rip it out of your hand. With Dragon Link, there's a possibility and they still have the negations. So I think going forward I'd probably take this out of my side, but as again, side decks are dependent on the format. So that's sort of it for the deck profile. So apart from the Pentastag changes, I probably would maybe try to cut this down to be like 40-41 cards, just to hopefully see some of your starters a bit more, because there was, I think, my Zodiac matchup in particular where I didn't really open very well, and it took me a little while to get into it, and then they'll they have a better tempo game with you, especially when they just summon a Zoo, so the pressure's on. If I had to look at things to take out, I'd probably take out the Defrag, the Santa Claus just for now, the Sanguine just because it was a meme. So that puts us down to 41 already. So that's pretty decent. And just to go over the last thing, just for a quick thing of our matchups. So my round one, I played against Zodiac. That result was a 1-2 loss. I played against a Dragoon Eldritch kind of build, 1-2-1 against that. I played against Dinos, 1-2-0 against that. One against Barricades, 1-2-1 against that. Infernoble, a 1-2 loss. PK Eldritch Dragoon, 2-1 win. Sky Striker with featured Dragoon package, 2-1 win. And then my last loss was to Dragonlink, 1-2. So thank you guys for listening to that. I know it's a bit rambly, but it's just how I am sometimes. I'll try to get better at it. Stay tuned to the channel, as we should be releasing the replays from the LCS pretty soon. And just remember to like, comment, subscribe. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Shh, not a zombie channel.